Every single one of us has a gift. Every single one of us has a gift which we were put here to share in the world. We're not supposed to be working jobs that we hate, being in relationships that don't fulfill us, feeding our bodies with things that don't nourish us and bring us closer to the grave, even if we're in our 20s or our 30s or our 40s or even later. And we're not supposed to be doing that. But the thing is, sometimes we have to go through that process to appreciate how it feels to come out the other side. And when we come out the other side, what we're left with, not just is a sense of gratitude, but it's a sense of knowing that whatever adversity we can face and have faced in the world, in our lives so far, it hasn't killed us. It hasn't diminished the quality of our lives in any way. It's given us a sense of resilience to continue moving forwards because something inside of us knows, it knows that there is better available. And it's my job to help you connect with that. And I want to talk to you today about patterns, because patterns are everywhere in life, not just in the way that plants unfold with the sacred patterns of life and nature, not just in business, in the way that we navigate the business world, or in relationships, in the way that we form and maintain relationships, but patterns exist inside of you, in here. And understanding how patterns work can make such an enormous difference, not just on the outside, but on the inside. And here's the thing. I've been working with patterns and systems in business for a really long time. I understand processes, I understand systems, I understand the fundamental principles of how something is taken from an input or a trigger, how it goes through a series of steps which transform that input into something which becomes an output. Okay? It's 3 steps, very simple. What I didn't realize, even after many years of working on myself, is that those same 3 steps can be applied to me, to us, to you. Everything in your life that you may consider to be a habit is just a pattern. It's not who you are, it's what you've learned to be, or you've learned to become. Because at some point, something happened, a trigger. You responded. A process. And there was an outcome, a response, a consequence. That's a pattern. And when we reinforce that pattern over many, many repetitions, it becomes a habit. It becomes a behavior that's so natural to us that we start to assume that that's just who we are. And I can bet everybody watching, me too, all of us have patterns that aren't serving us. And all of us are striving to find ways to break those patterns. And we can call them habits. We can call them behaviors. Call them whatever you like. It's a pattern. But by understanding and calling it a pattern, we take away this sense of ownership, this sense of, that's who I am. Because as soon as you attach your identity to something, then of course it's who you are. You're locked into it. You don't have any other choice. So we break these patterns by understanding through reflection and exploration what the triggers are, what responses we have to those triggers, and then what the outcomes or the consequences are. When someone says a particular word to us, or does something when we're driving in our cars or when we're walking down the streets, how we respond to that and what the outcome tends to be. Those are patterns. And they say awareness is the first step to change. And you've probably heard this before. Awareness is the first step to change. Once you become aware of the pattern, that's it. It starts to break. The pattern from there on out can never be the same, because every time it happens, you notice it. And every time you notice it more and more and more, it gains less and less power over you, has less and less power to become this automatic thing that you do without question. And what does that do? It creates space. Everybody wants space. Everybody would appreciate having more space in their lives to be able to consciously do the things that they want to do. But so many people are being controlled by these patterns. They don't realize it. They don't have the space. And what do you do when you don't have space? What can you do? You cope. You manage. You survive. You're just about keeping your head above the water. But you're not learning how to move forwards. So when we start to illuminate these patterns and we bring them into our awareness, we start to see them for what they are. They start to dissolve. Now, ancient Indian philosophy has known this for thousands of years. They're known as samskaras, grooves, if you like. Something like a channel of water. The more water moves down the channel, the more easily it becomes for water to move down the channel in the future. A habit is just the same thing. It's just a pattern of behavior. It's a response to stimulus. And as soon as we can break that, as soon as we can identify it, notice it, break it, we can start to insert different patterns. We can start to insert new habits, create new habits, habits which will bring us closer to the things that we want, whether that's loving relationships, connection with ourselves or our God or people around us or nature. Patterns that will help us succeed in business, patterns that will help us succeed in learning a new skill or improving a skill that we already have that we want to transform into an art. You see, it's possible to apply the same logic everywhere. Now, I call that the genius process. And the genius process is 3 steps. There's the trigger, there's the response, and then there's the outcome or the consequence. And as soon as you illuminate those 3 things, as soon as you see what kind of impact that's having in your life will change. And it might not change immeasurably in a really short space of time, but it will start to change because what you're doing is you're bringing into your conscious awareness the things that otherwise would just happen automatically. You start to become a more conscious human being, and a conscious life is a life where you're in the driver's seat, where you are able to dictate the responses that you have to the things that happen around you. You're able to create different outcomes. You don't behave as the victim. You respond as a creator. Now that's empowerment. And when you can respond as a creator in any situation, especially the situations that are important to you, then you are truly free. And who doesn't want to be free, right? So here's my invitation to you. Today, think of one thing in your life that you really struggle with. It can be an area, health, it can be business, it can be personal relationships, it can be finance, it can be anything. Chances are it won't take much effort to think of something that you would like to change or something that you struggle with. And just think about how you struggle with that. What causes you to struggle with it? Is it something that you see? Is it the way that you feel every time you open up a particular email or your bank account? Is it a certain word that someone says to you? It might even be a nice word. How do you respond to that? How do you feel about it? And can you see how many times that's happened in the past? What's the consequence of that? What does it lead to? And what do you then do with that? So let's take an example. You get in your car, you drive, you want to pull out of a junction and someone doesn't let you out. And every time someone doesn't let you out, you feel a little bit more irritated. So what happens every time you come to a junction now? You feel irritated. What do? Well, maybe you take a risk. Maybe you get frustrated. Maybe you take it out on your partner or your spouse or your children or your car. Maybe it has an impact on your day. And then maybe at the end of the day, you come home and you resort to some kind of substance or distraction to help you manage that feeling. Okay, so anything like that. My invitation to you is just to find one thing in your life. It can be simple, it can be small. Start small. That's where it helps. That's where it begins. Start with those small things. See what differences you can observe. See what patterns you can observe. Consider how long you've been doing that for and what kind of outcomes you're getting and whether or not you want a different outcome. And maybe even start to think about what that outcome is that you would like. What kind of pattern you want to create in its place. And just notice that simple process of change. How much of a difference that could make for you if you applied that globally to your whole life, to the lives of the people around you that you love, to the things that you love. And let me know how you get on with that. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to help you further. Patterns are everything. Everything in life has a pattern, including you. But you are not the pattern. You are the observer of those patterns. And if you can observe it, you can change it. I know you can. So stick around for more. It's great to see you. Have a great day. Peace.